Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Hoeology Podcast. This is your host, Destiny. Today, I'm joined by Miss Joelle Bliss of House of Bliss, and we're going to be talking about all things related to the dungeon, kink parties, play parties, somatic healing, and bodywork. We're just going to be jumping all into it. So, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So my name is Miss Joelle Bliss, pronounced she, her. I am an arosomatic touch practitioner, which is just a fancy way to say I am a somatic body worker. I work with the body, helping folks kind of tune into who they are, what they want by using meditation, breath work, and touch work. I'm also a dungeon owner of the House of Bliss, which is located in Jersey City, intimacy coach, and running along the list of all the things that I do.
I love that. I want to start with how you kind of were introduced to this lifestyle. I love like meeting people in this lifestyle or like these type of roles because
Mhm.
everyone's story is unique, like how they were introduced to it. So, what was your introduction to this?
Yeah, so I would say I always had an interest in the lifestyle, like dating way back to like high school.
Hmm.
And I was the girl that was like hiding Cosmo magazines back when it was like the Cosmo magazine. Now,
Right, right.
now they're more of like a fashion lifestyle brand, but back
Yeah.
then it was like Cosmopolitan.
Yes.
And so I was always interested and had like a really strong passion for sex, and I was always the friend that people came to when they had questions about it.
Hmm.
And then fast forward to right after I broke up with my college sweetheart. We were together about like 5 years. We were in a monogamous relationship. I just realized like I need to do the things. So
Yeah.
the first thing I did was sign up for, I think it's called Three Fun. No, at the time there's two different apps. There was one that's called Three Fun, and then the other one's called Thrinder. And
Okay.
I signed up for Thrinder as a unicorn, and within like 24 hours, I had like 200 matches, and I was like,
Oh my
"Whoa, this is
gosh.
a lot."
Yeah.
And so I put my account on pause, and then just kind of went from there.
Nice. So, what made you want to jump from monogamy to like kind of in the poly world or like being a unicorn?
Yeah. Like I said, I've always had an interest. So like when I
Okay.
was in high school, I was dating two guys at once. I was like, "This is great. This is like
Love that for
everything I
you. Love
want."
that for you.
Um, and when I kind of pivoted into when I was in college, I like went into a monogamous relationship. I kind of under the assumption that that's what lifestyle people did. Like
Mhm.
you couldn't really be in the lifestyle if you were single, particularly if you're a single woman. And so I was like, okay, I need to like basically be a swing. Like my only example of lifestyle was through swingers and swinger culture.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I was like, cool. First step, get a boyfriend. Got it. Next step, when do we do the threesomes? And of course, I had like the boyfriend that was like super monogamous and super like, yeah, no, I don't have any interest in any of that. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
really? Like we're in college. We're like, isn't this
Right,
like
this is
the
the time.
time?
No time like the present.
Isn't this the thing? And so yeah, I was just like in a really, really monogamous relationship. And after a while, it kind of like it was clear that our interests and like we were just naturally growing apart.
Yeah.
So even though it was like wonderful, loving relationship, we just had different goals and different interests. And I think towards the end of my college time was when what is that? The Issa Rae show
Mhm.
came
Insecure?
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the open marriage conversations were like all the craze.
Yes.
And that's when I think this sparked up that interest in me again. And yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. Once that was kind of over, my next step was like to try it out, and the only way I could think about that was through apps. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, definitely a crazy journey there. I felt like when you
Hmm.
were talking about being in your monogamous relationship and how you just weren't feeling like fulfilled, I love that you were like, no, I'm not gonna just, suffer in silence. I'm gonna go get what I want. Like,
Yeah, I just kept thinking like, is this going to be my whole life? And oh my god. And I was like, I'm too young. Maybe I need to like do the things first before I end up in
right.
this type of relationship. Yeah.
Okay. So then it kind of has like grown obviously since then, and now you're a
Mhm.
whole dungeon owner. So how did you come up with like this decision to I'm gonna open a dungeon? Like I want this for myself, I want this for my community. How did
Yeah.
you come to that?
Yeah, so after about a year of unicorning is when I ended up moving. So I actually used to live in Salt Lake City, and
Okay.
when I was unicorning, I was traveling all around. Like me and all the apps were a lot of fun. And then I moved back to New York City. So I'm from New York, and so I moved back home, and I had joined a sex club called NSFW.
Yes, I've heard of
And yeah, and after joining that, like one, I was just it was awesome to see the space. It was awesome to like kind of be amongst people I felt like I had more things in common with. But
it.
ultimately, I still felt very tokenized in that space,
Mhm.
and it was very white. And it was also very kind of swinger heavy, and I had an
Yeah.
in peak of an interest in kink lifestyle, but I just never saw Black people doing it. I was just like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just don't see it. And I was really trying to bottom for a rope. I was trying to be a rope bunny, and like no one would ever like tie me. Like I'd always try to like be the first in line and like do those type of things, and so I was always overlooked.
Mhm.
And um, I ended up falling into another swinger community called Susia,
Yes,
and that was,
I've heard of it
yeah,
as
that
well.
was back when Sushi like first started before they even had the space.
Mm.
And so kind of grew up in that culture as well, and I
Yeah.
kept thinking I want a space where Black kinksters congregate. Like CC is great and it has some kink elements, but it's predominantly a swinger heavy space.
Yeah.
And I was someone that like wanted it all. I wanted the swinger side, I wanted the kink side, I wanted learning, and so I was just like,
Yeah.
as most Black women, it's like, well, I'll just do it myself.
I
Um,
know that's right.
yeah, and I just kept thinking like, yeah, I could do this too.
Yeah. So what is, I guess, the difference between a dungeon and a sex club?
I would say a dungeon is more focused in on the kink side. So when I say kink, kink is a very like broad term. Like even
Mhm.
swinging falls under kink. But when we say kink, we're really just talking about using implements, using like the mental aspect of sex.
Mhm.
And for the swinger side, it's more predominantly heavier on like just the actual physical like PV sex, even
Yeah.
VV. More spaces tend not to be too open to like boy and boy action. Luckily, Susia
Yeah,
is
that's so
very
weird, right?
luckily Susia
So
is
weird.
very open to that, but
Yeah.
it was still very like heteronormative.
Mhm.
Um, and here, my goal is to kind of like open up that of space and like not have as too many rules in terms of what how people want to express their sexual side, how people want to express pleasure. Um, and so, like for a dungeon space, is predominantly on the I guess the non traditional sex, I should
Mhm.
say, side of
Mhm.
things. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So, I guess if someone was like a beginner interested, would they be like okay to attend your dungeon, or would it more so be like for people that like you know what you're here for?
Yeah, both. So
Okay.
I try to cater to both. I would say in terms of like if you're a brand spanking beginner, you've never been to a play party before. I always recommend for folks to check out another space
Mhm.
before kind of coming here, simply just because like my house is more of a bit of more of an investment. So
Yeah.
first off, my vetting process looks different than other vetting processes. I do have homework before you can become a member, and so there's
Yeah.
like a training class about like just the basics of like sacred sexuality. So one of the additional elements of my dungeon that it also includes tantra and sacred sex, and
Okay.
so um, yeah, I kind of just break that down for new members. I break down like how to read an STI panel and how to disclose and how to ask for consent, house rules, things like that.
Yeah.
And then in terms of my events, one of my primary events, which is called a Bliss Play Party,
Yes,
is
seen those.
incorporates both learning and play. So it
Okay.
is a party, like it has drinks and food and music and all the vibes of a party. But it also during the party itself, I always have some sort of educational component. So there's usually about a 45-minute to an hour class during the
Okay.
party. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Wow. So are these events hosted at your dungeon, or are they hosted like elsewhere and
Mm-hmm.
then once they're vetted, they can then come?
Yeah, so a bit of both. Primarily, they're hosted in my dungeon. Again, this is located in Jersey City, and I'm actually starting to expand to have like parties in other locations. But one of the key components of my events is that I try to keep them pretty intimate,
Yeah.
like think classroom size. So no, usually no more than 35 people are here. One, because it's like easier to learn when you
Hmm.
have easier to teach and to learn when you have smaller groups. Two, it's also easier to feel comfortable in a learning set. If you're a newbie, it's really intimidating to go to a party that has 100 people in it.
Yeah.
Um, for myself, I started in one-on-one private things and then like jumped straight into the deep end, and it was attending like 100 people esque parties. And I
Yeah.
always just thought like it's hard to really do that. Not everybody has that want and desire. So I try to keep the intimacy in intimate events.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, okay, you're having the play parties, and those are kind of pre-scheduled as far as like this is when it's going to happen, so don't just show up any day. Do
Hmm.
you host any other type of events like munches or kind of any like meet and greets?
Yeah, so I host an annual pool party munch that
That's
happens.
your pool party?
That's my pool party.
You know
Yeah.
who I found out about that from was the fun sexual. I don't know her actual name, but
Yes. Wow.
yeah,
My
she posted. I was like, bro, this looks
my
so fun.
pansexual is my best friend.
Yeah, she's lit. I love her podcast. So
Super lit podcast. But yes, that's my pool party. And so I throw that one every year. And then I am also throwing other events. So again, like I'm kind of starting still expanding.
mhm.
My predominant focus to date has been around the Bliss Pay parties, but now that I'm actually expanding the house, it's to include more munches, just like that. The pool party is like a once a year type of thing,
Yeah.
but like other munches just to come and hang out at the house, to come and do what I have like happy hour or sex worker appreciation hour, so they can come. You can do
Nice.
like a photo shoot here and just kind of like get familiar with the space. And then I've also, of course, have like the Discord and like other groups that folks can kind of talk and chit chat with all day long, which they do all day long, um, and talk
Yeah.
all day long. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that you host workshops too, which I'm like, that is so dope.
Hmm.
It can feel like intimidating sometimes, like connecting with other creators or other people like in the, in the environment. I feel like workshops is a great way to kind of bridge the gap where I'm learning from you, but I also get to meet you and talk to you.
Yes.
So I thought that's super dope. So you said fun sexual, she's your bestie. Have you connected with any other creators or had creators like reach out to you to come to your space?
Yeah, one of the great things about the House of Bliss is the fact that like because I started in the New York City scene, there's a lot of kinksters, a lot of swingers that come from the New York City scene, and like we've branched out over the years. And so very close to Jax, me and Jax, so Touched by Jax,
Oh
um,
yeah.
both studied under the same mentor and like really got familiar. There's also, the Naked Trumpeter, Eli, who comes into the space. So there's a lot of folks that I definitely work with and like connect with, or Mercifuls or Marvelous. So like so for my Bliss Play parties, every other party,
Mhm.
I bring in a guest educator. So I don't teach
Wow.
all of the events. I usually only teach like again every other,
Mhm.
and it tends to be on Sundays. So the thing about my Bliss Play parties is that it every other party is either on a Saturday night or a Sunday day party. So I throw
Nice.
day party play parties, and
Yeah.
for the Sunday parties I tend to teach, and then for the Saturday parties I tend to bring in the guest educator.
Okay.
Mhm.
So speaking of teaching,
Yeah.
you said you do somatic healing and body work.
Hmm.
Now, small backstory. I learned about somatic body working through Sex, Love, and Goop, the
Okay.
show on Netflix,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they talked about how it was like
Yes.
life changing, pretty much. So, kind of,
I
can you
think
tell
that's
us like a
the
little
Gwyneth
bit?
Paltrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my mentor was on there.
Really?
Yeah, that was the black woman that was like doing the mirror work, and she was like,
Yes.
yeah, that was her mentor.
That is dope. That is
Hmm.
dope. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch it so I can follow her.
Yeah, yes,
Um,
Goddess Amina.
yes. So how did you so you said that was your mentor, but how did you like even meet her in order to establish that
Yeah.
relationship?
So I started following her during COVID. I think that was around the time that she went from an in-person training in Atlanta
Hmm.
to a online model. Of course, like everybody went to an online model
Yeah.
during COVID, and yeah, I just kind of started following her from there. Um, and around that time was when I was having like as everybody else, having an existential crisis. I was just like, what am I doing with my life? Uh,
Yeah.
like what am I gonna do the sex thing? I've always had an interest in sex. Like I hate my job. Like what are we doing?
Yes.
Um,
Here right now.
yeah, I think I'm constantly there. Like,
Yeah.
and so around that time, I was like, okay, I do want to go down this path of becoming a sex coach. And how do I do that? And so I started looking up different programs. I never really resonated with a lot of them. I felt like a lot of them were ran by either white women or white men, and I
Yeah.
was just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And
Hmm.
then I saw Amina's program, and immediately it was like a light bulb. And even though it was immediate light bulb, I was still like hesitant because then it's
Hmm.
like jumping into a new field, particularly in the sex, becoming a sexuality professional takes a lot of
Hmm.
guts, to be
It
honest.
does.
Like
Yeah.
it takes a big kind of like personal leap of faith because usually nobody else sees the vision but you.
Listen, I could
Um,
write a book on it.
yeah, no one else sees the vision but you. And
Yeah.
so I think I missed one of her cohorts, and I said to myself, the next time that she has a cohort, I'm not going to miss it. And lo and behold, like that fall came around, and she was like, "I'm doing a cohort thing," and I was like, "Done. I'm here. I paid the thing, and I'm now we're just gonna have to do it." And so
Yeah.
definitely a life changing program for me. And I'm actually still in it. So it's a 3-part program.
Okay.
And so the first one is like primarily on the body work. So that's with the aerosomatic touch. So aero, like the emotion somatic body touch practitioner.
Hmm.
Um, and the other 2 programs, I'm actually going through the second program right now, which is primarily focused on the sex talk or sex coaching side of things. So the
Hmm.
first part is on the body, the second part is on the like talking,
Okay.
and then the third part is more like putting it all together and becoming a certified sexologist. So that's is
Oh,
ultimately
okay.
what my goal is.
Wow, that's huge. Congratulations. That's
Thanks.
really big. It
Thanks.
is. Yeah. I mean, even I feel like the subject as a whole of sex is still kind of taboo, but it's getting there. Like you can
Getting there.
see the work. Even
Mhm.
there's a reality show, what is it? Couple to Thruple that like I was talking to
Oh, I
another
never heard that
creator about. It's reality TV trash, but it's like it involves like a homosexual couple, it involves a pansexual couple, it involves like heterosexual couple.
I
So
feel like I may have heard this. I don't watch reality TV
oh
at all. The last reality TV show I think I watched was like I don't even know. Like I don't even
yeah.
watch it at all. I think it was like My Mom, Your Dad, and
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind. I didn't. It's on like HBO or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up. But there's a sexologist, Shamira, on there. She's actually like one of the hosts of the show, and she talks about,
Mhm.
how to build like meaningful connections and like
Mhm.
being open-minded. And it
Mhm.
I think it's even though like I said, it's trash reality TV, it was like a really good learning moment and like exposure for her to kind of be like, this profession exists, you know?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
definitely exciting. And again, congratulations. So
Thank
you
you.
said too that you're intimacy coordinator.
Yes.
Have you
Awesome.
done any work on like TVs or TV shows or movies?
Yeah, when I say intimacy coordinator, I'm more intimacy coach. So I
Okay,
know there's
okay.
a difference between like the coordinators. I would love to do that maybe one day, like as a side project.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, my focus is more on like individual one-on-one coaching, or and eventually to expand to two-on-one coaching.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. So I know you're based out of New Jersey,
Mhm.
but you do travel quite often. I
So
think I saw you with like DC Cuddle Club.
yes, I'm often in DC. So one of my dom lives in DC, and so I kind of split my time
Okay.
between Jersey and the DMV area a
Yeah.
lot. I also make pit stops in Philly, so pretty much all along kind of this coast. And then I also will be starting to like kind of travel down to Atlanta, going to like Sex Down South conference and
I'll be
stuff
there.
like that. Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah. That's nice. I feel like unfortunately Atlanta is like where it stops because I'm in Florida, like super
Okay.
conservative, just no sex. Like, and it's tragic. I went to there's another creator, her name is the Spicy Wifey, and
Yeah.
she's here visiting. And so we went to this like nudist resort yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, I wish there was more of this for like black spaces or black people." And I'm like, "You looking at the people that's gonna create it? Because if
Pretty
we
much.
don't, like, it won't
Pretty
happen."
much. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really give kudos to you for creating that space and just saying like, "I'm gonna do it," and doing it successfully. So
Thank you. Yeah.
definitely
Definitely not
inspiring.
easy.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
if someone's interested in attending one of your parties and being vetted, where can
Mhm.
they find you?
Yeah, so there's actually a major change happening at House of Bliss. And I will actually be going to a referral only model starting in
Mhm.
September. And so right now you can actually just go either to my Instagram or to my website. It's like House of Bliss X
Okay.
.com, and same thing on Instagram. And if you go into my website, like you'll be able to see like all the things about the membership, what you kind of get out of membership. It is a lifetime membership, so it's, you pay once. It's not like a subscription model in that
Mhm.
way. And once you get vetted, and you'll find the information there, and you can get vetted. But then after September, it will be more of like a you need to know someone who knows someone type of
Yeah.
model. And the reason why is that one of the things I really value about the space, and a lot of the members value about the space, is the kind of community aspect, that you
Mhm.
know who your neighbor is, you know who that other person is, you know who that couple is, you've seen them before. And so
Mhm.
it's not inherently a space for like what I sometimes call it the weekend warriors. They
Yeah.
just drop in, and it's like this really great jazzy time, and then you'll never see them again. And
Yeah.
so one of the benefits of the space is the fact that it's very community oriented, and you will see these folks again. So I always tell people, act like you're gonna see us again.
Right.
Because the benefit of having community is that you have folks that you're familiar with, but also the other flip side of community is that you're more likely to have you have accountability too, and
Mhm.
you have responsibility to show up in the best way you can for everybody else.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's totally fair. So, if you are interested in going, definitely find
Yeah,
somebody, befriend them, and then work your way up to membership.
yeah, work your way up. I again, like I will still continue to have about twice a year. I'll have open parties, and so those are
Okay.
for anyone who might be interested and not sure or might not
Mhm.
know anyone. There will still be opportunities. It just won't be as frequent.
Okay. I'll be sure to put your social media and website in our
Sure.
show notes. So, the last couple of questions I had were I know you said that this was for mostly geared around like the Black experience.
Mhm.
Is there room for diversity or is this a community for us by us?
It is a community for us by us. I'll also say that so one of the pillars of House of Bliss is a Black liberation. And
Mm,
so if you are someone who is not Black and would like to attend, maybe you have a partner who's Black, or just overall, like particularly I know a lot of folks in the Latina community tend to ask this question.
mhm.
I always just ask, like, what does Black liberation mean to you, and how do you plan to contribute to it?
I
Because
love that
ultimately that
question.
is one of the pillars of the space.
Mhm.
And just by virtue of being an ally is not quite enough. I want to really understand like what you're thinking, and I want it to be a space where Black people don't feel like they are fetishized. I want to feel like a
Right.
space where they feel celebrated, they feel like equals, they feel safe and comfortable.
Hmm.
And so that doesn't always mean 100% Black people. It just means that we all are here for the same goal, which is Black
Right.
liberation.
And I love that question. Like, is that part of your vetting too? Like that
Yeah,
question, or
part
is
of my
it just
yes,
okay?
like I be vetting people for real.
Get it? I
Yeah,
love
really
that. I
vetting.
really
Yeah,
do.
and I do all the vetting personally. So I always
Okay.
yeah, I go through
Nice.
everyone's application one by one and all the things.
Nice. That's what's up. What's the general like age range within the club,
Mm.
or does it vary?
Yeah, great question. So I would say age range believe is about 24 to 41,
Okay.
and the average age I would say is 31.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
nice.
we're on the younger side of the.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like sometimes the sex clubs or like other spaces can get just like really
They,
just far. Yeah.
they be old. Like I have been in lifestyle now for what since like 22, and I still walk into space. I've been so since 22, so it's been like what 5 6 years. I still walk into spaces. I'm the youngest person in the room. Like,
Hmm.
and just by virtue of being in your 20s, you're probably the younger side of the people in
Yeah.
the room, which I think oftentimes people don't even realize. Like the lifestyle does skew on the older side.
Hmm.
And so that was the other reason why I wanted to start a space was like I wanted people my age. I wanted to play with
Right.
people my age,
Right.
who I felt comfortable with, and yeah,
Yeah. I mean, especially with your origin story, so to speak, you were younger when you decided like this is what I want.
yeah,
So definitely you're creating a lane for people that definitely know what they want to. So
yeah.
that's really what's up. But I thank you for being here and talking with
Of
me
course,
today. I've learned so much. First of all, I've been to New Jersey, but I was there for work. So
okay.
now I have a reason to come back.
We have reason to come. Yay.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you, and I am super happy for everything that you've done for the community so far. Like
Thank
when I
you.
said when I saw your name, I was like, I know her. Like,
Yeah, I've been following you for a while now. I was just like, I think I saw you posted like something about guests. I think last year.
yeah,
Like I wasn't in the space to do it, and then
yeah,
I saw it again. I was like, okay, I can't miss this opportunity. And also just to support your podcast. Like I'm always supportive of
yeah,
like particularly Black women in the space. Like I said, it's not easy. Whatever lane that you choose, whether that's
yeah,
podcasting or during events or just being a sex worker, none of the lanes are an easy lane to do. So also
yeah.
kudos to you.
Thank you. And yeah, like I said, sometimes it's intimidating, like talking to people in this industry, because like you said, it is a community, and you want to protect that community.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, thank you for being open and
Of
chatting.
course.
But that's all we have. So happy hoeing.